Good morning, everybody. Welcome to week number 9. Actually, week number 9 starts on Monday, October 24th. So I hope you're doing well and plan on enjoying the beautiful sunshine today. If you are in Maine, today is supposed to be an absolutely spectacular day. Mid 60s, sunny, little wind, and just, to me, the epitome of a beautiful day, fall day. So let's get to week number 9. As you know, week number 9 is part of module number 3. In module 3, we have weeks 8 through 11. So in week number 9, we're going to be doing the book discussions, one for Cameron's Right to Write, and for the book of your choice, Push or Educated and Marginalized Voices. So it really depends on what you read, and I'll walk you through the material. So maybe some of you have already looked at the materials, but this week we're focusing in on the book discussions that you have read. Hopefully you have read and you can participate in the discussion forums. So as you can see, we have these 3 areas. I will actually put in the video that I'm recording right now here. Week number 9, book discussions. Here's where all the information is about specifically what I'd like you to do. Overarching questions. How does writing and finding confidence in one's voice relate to your own learning as well as to adult education? And how do we embrace greater diversity in adult and higher education? Those are the questions that are driving the materials this week. The outcomes, things to do. Finish reading The Right to Write. This is Cameron's book. Reflect on any initiation tools that she asked you to do in the book. Consider connections among the book's course contents and adult learning. So I would like you to read maybe not all of the materials, but I'd like you to explore these materials, including the links of interest. And there's a story in here from Emily McRobbie, who is a part-time adjunct faculty at the University of Southern Maine, about marginalization by exclusion in textbooks and curriculum. This is her story from Arizona when she was teaching out in Arizona. And then I added something about my own story. There was a friend of mine, he is a friend of mine, a good friend of mine that grew up in Lewiston, and there was a pretty big migration of French-speaking families in the 50s and the 60s to Connecticut. And to give you an idea, I worked for Stanley Tools in a portion of my career, and I got promoted to New Britain, Connecticut. I was working in Connecticut, and I would say half of the people that worked for me, and I had about 30 people working for me in that factory. The factory actually makes the tape measures that you may use or you may see in Home Depot, Stanley tape measures. But about half of the people that worked for me were from Maine. And I found out that a lot of them moved to Maine in their 60s. But I mentioned this story because of the prejudice that and the marginalization that occurs. Now, my friend moved down to Connecticut. He spoke only French until he was 14, including when he moved to Connecticut at 12. So basically, he moved down into Connecticut. He spoke French. He told me horror stories. He was humiliated. He was beat up because he couldn't speak English, and he was thrown into the classes with no assistance. Now, somehow he learned enough that he was able to graduate from high school. But here I interviewed him in his 50s, and he still was scarred by that experience. He said all of the materials really had to do with people other than him. He was marginalized, the materials, the textbooks, everything was, and including when he was 12 years old, he was publicly berated by the teacher because he couldn't speak English and he was forced to sit in the back of the room with his back to the class. But he told me at great detail, great length, about him not being able to read the books because they had nothing to do with a French-speaking person growing up in Maine. So this whole week is about marginalization. Read the materials, explore the materials, participate in the online discussions, and I'd like you to continue your learning journals and your field work on your field study. I will have all of your papers graded by Monday, the end of Monday. You'll have grades and you'll have my comments on those. I thank everybody for submitting those. If you have not done so yet, please do as soon as possible. So if you have any questions on the materials, what it is specifically I'd like you to do, please let me know. But in the meantime, make sure you explore all the materials for this week. It's laid out very well. The links, I've checked all of the links, at least on my computer. They all work. And that is it. So let me know if you have questions, and we'll see you online. Bye, everybody.